What's going on, Internet? I'm Adam, also known as Revlimiter, and I understand there needs to be some videos made. I'm going to show you how to put gauges in your NA Miata cluster. Here we go. Alright, get your work area all set out. It's good to have a clean desk for all this. You need your gloves, wipies, little pry tools, actual gauges, and of course your cluster. Right, first thing, glove up. This is a new to me cluster. Never opened it. This is the best way to do it. You just kind of pop with your thumbs while separating it with your other hand. Ta-da! So the next thing we have to do is take off our needles. So your gauges come with these little pieces of paper separating them. I like to tear one in half. And you just kind of place it over the gauge face. Pop off all the needles. This protects the face from the pry tools and everything. I've never taken these off. I've never worked on this cluster. This is how they come apart. They just pop off like this on Miatas. Some cars really give you a hard time. Some cars will self-destruct their gauges when you try to do this. But NA and NB Miatas just love this. There we go. Put all those to the side. This is a number 1 JIS screwdriver. Remove the light diffuser from all the gauges. When you're done, you've got all your light diffusers, all your needles, and all your screws. All of these screws are the same, except for the 2 speedometer screws that are kind of longer. And now we get to take care of all of these. These are the idiot lights below the speedometer, below the tack. I just pried a little bit with that and it came right off. We don't need that ever again. Now, let's see if that's in the frame. Yep. I like to use these little wire snips, also known as diagonal cutters and also known as dikes and needle nose pliers. I'll just go through very carefully with so much love and care. Ooh. I wear glasses to read, and it's a good thing because they're protecting my eyes right now. If you don't wear glasses, use safety lenses. That actually hit me in my glasses. This seems kind of harsh. This is way, way more gentle to do to a cluster than to use a Dremel on it. A Dremel will leave dust everywhere, and you could slip and hit the circuit board, or whatever, the tack guts. Just kind of carefully chewing and prying with tools like this. I have never ever destroyed a cluster. I had one customer who used a Dremel and cut all the way through and cut the back side of his membrane. That's no good. Alright, I think I got everything out of there. Let's see. Some clusters will be less brittle than this, some will be more brittle than this. They all get the same treatment. I need just a little bit more. You don't need to get it all the way down to the bottom. You just need to get the light from this bulb here to kind of come down there. Alright, LED bulbs. If you ordered LED bulbs, take this whole thing and yank out that bulb. I just pulled it out. And then you shove an LED back in the socket. And twist it back in. Nothing to it. Now we're going to test out our LEDs. You would normally do this with your car, probably after you install the gauges, but I've got desktop power here. I've got a little connector hooked up to it. I'd show you the desktop power, but it's kind of buried behind everything. You just plug it in. This is the one that goes above the speedometer. That's all you have to plug in to test your lighting. And then you turn on the lights in your car. And it looks like there's 3 of them that are on, and this one is off, so it's backwards, and you have to rotate it. So you just take it out, and you put it back in. See, I take it out and turned it 180 degrees around, right? I didn't take it out of the socket or anything. Just took it out, spun it around, and put it back in. And now we have light. The next thing we get to do is deal with the needle stoppers. So here's the tack. It's already got the needle stopper in it. I don't know if you can see. So take one of the needle stoppers and the oil pressure gauge. There's just a little hole in it. And I just poke it through. Stick my gloved finger in the main hole. Make sure it's all the way through. That's the whole thing. No glue necessary. If it's a tight fit, you don't need to tape anything. You just stick it through there and it'll go right in place. And I've got a bunch of dust and yuck on the gauge, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I hold the screwdriver with 2 hands so that I don't accidentally slip off and gouge the gauge face. That would be bad. There we go. Ooh. And not forgetting this. Yep. I don't know if I mentioned the screwdrivers and how much I love them. Magnetic head screwdriver for this is just the best thing in the world. So the dust is starting to bother me. If you're a photographer, you probably have one of these. It's called a rocket. And they're clean. If you're not a photographer, you have one of these because I sent you one. You just kind of lightly dust them off. I'm not applying any pressure directly to the gauge face. I'm just doing like that. See, I have this rocket, and I love my rocket, so I use my rocket all the time. hear guys say how tricky this is. Oh my god, it was 3 hours, 4 hours. Oh, I was so nervous the whole time. There's nothing to be nervous about. It's just a gauge face. And if you screw it up, I can always make you more. The last thing to do with an NA Miata, or an NB, I guess, the only needle you can actually set is the speedometer one. You need to have your car, and you need to have your car running for all of the other gauges. But the speedometer self-zeros. Wow. Sometimes I get lucky and I get to do it on the first try. Sometimes it'll take me 10 minutes. It wasn't the first try. There we go. Alright, so I take the needle, and I kind of set it, and then I let it spin up a little bit, and then I spin it up a little bit, and I force it down just a little bit so that it rests on 0. That's really, really good. If you make the center of the needle, the black part, touch the face, your gauge won't work. You don't need Hulk force. You don't need to shove it on there very much at all. Just enough so that it doesn't fall off. And that's it. Now we take this out to the car and set all of the other needles. And that's something for another video. Alright, I hope that helped you out, and I'll come back with another one to show you how to put the gauges in the car and actually get the needles lined up there. So until next time.